Okay, first of all, I want to say that we've made so many friends throughout the years and wanted just to celebrate and get together with all of you, or as many as we could. So thank you so much for your support. Thank you for being here. I'm going to give a little bit of history as to Dan's career, and I want to give you, if you want, later a little chance to speak and share a message with Coach. Now, it all started in college when he was working for his Uncle Murray in Canton, at Canton Concrete, that he walked into the superintendent's office with his work clothes on, and they hired him to teach junior high science and math. But he also coached basketball, JV basketball, assisted with the men's basketball coach, track, football, and even wrestling, if you can believe that. That was quite an education to have all of those responsibilities. He also assisted the high school coach, Jim Gibbon. Jim was planning on being here today, but he has some recent health issues and is unable to travel. So we have a video message at the end that he'll give his message then. So keep Jim in your thoughts and prayers. Now, Dan was about 5 years in Canton before I met him at the end of my junior year in college at Augustana. And I knew I wanted to marry him about the third date. So he accepted my proposal, and he and his fast-pitch softball team gave up a weekend in June of 1982 to attend our wedding.
That didn't happen very often.
No, I know. I was grateful to get a teaching job in Canton, just a few blocks from our home, and we loved it. And our first daughter, Megan, was born. You'll hear from her after a while. In 1984, then Molly came along in 86. We were busy, but we enjoyed our lives in Canton. We attended many basketball games. We traveled with the team for softball games during the summer. And I'd like to introduce the first speaker tonight, or today. That's going to be Dan's brother, Paul. He shared a lot of time with Dan. Paul coaches and teaches in Canton, where he and his wife, Sherry, live with their children, Matthew and Nate. Okay, Paul, come on up.
Boy. Can you hear me okay, or do I need the mic? You need the mic. Okay. Sorry, Dan. Got to use the mic. On my way up, I heard some music in my head. And all I could think of was this young 14, 15-year-old kid playing the piano at Sunday school, Onward Christian Soldiers. Dan was a piano player, played for church and all that stuff. Sorry, Dan, but I thought you did a great... I got goosebumps from that story, just telling that. So I'm going to move on here, Dan. I only got 5 minutes, and I got a lot of notes to get through here. But I got to start out here. What did Dan do for me? He did a lot. He got me started in my career as a coach, teacher. I enjoyed it. We did a lot of good things together. And I wrote down a list of things that we did. Starting out in Dune, Iowa, Dan was a paper boy, walking around on the streets of Dune, Iowa, dangerous spot, handing out little tickets. I don't think I would send my kid out nowadays to be a paper boy, but he was there doing the job. Played the piano. These are just fun things that we did. Another thing is moved to Rock Valley. That's when we grew up in Dune, Iowa. Then we moved to Rock Valley, Iowa. And Dan was there for 1-2 years and moved on to college. And I was there. We played a lot of golf together. One story is that Dan and I played a lot of softball together. And Oh, the team we're talking about is Canton Concrete. And who is the owner?
Murray Rowe, his uncle.
His uncle Murray Rowe. He was awesome. But Dan and I played on the Canton Concrete, and we're playing over in Hillsbeaver Creek, and we needed some RBIs that day because we're playing against some pretty good teams. And Dan went 3 for 3 with 3 home runs back to back to back. So that was pretty darn good. I didn't even make that up either, Dano. Don't want to embarrass you. Then we continued to go into college. I went to Kearney State College. Anybody here from Kearney went to Kearney State? Oh, there's a couple. Back in the day, back in the early 80s. This is when I started going with these road trips to Dan when we went to a lot of coaching clinics. And we went to down in Kansas City, Omaha, Indianapolis, Des Moines, a lot of local areas. And we saw a lot of coaches. Dan knows a lot of these guys: John Calipari, Tom Izzo, Bobby Huggins, John Wooden, Jim Boeheim, Roy Williams, Lou Olson, the Shark, Gary Williams, and much more. So we've seen a lot of coaches in our life. I think Dan's story was the one that I like, was when he was riding in the elevator with Dean Smith. He said Dean Smith came up to hear on him and smoking a little cigarette coming down the elevator. So you guys had a good time visiting? Dan. Oh, yeah, well, back then that was. I get, and so we moved on. We go out down to Western Community College. I was there for 2 years with Dan as an assistant basketball coach. I also worked with Bo, that's here, as an assistant baseball coach. And then they needed a volleyball coach, so I ended up coaching volleyball. And I really didn't know anything about it, but the girls did, so we were okay. Going on Northeast, but I got into what was I going to do and share, and I found a folder here full of cool ideas that did. Starting out in Canton, South Dakota, he sends me all the lists that they do from Canton. Baseline theory, moves, passing, line drills, sends all this stuff, and I always kept it, and I'll leave it up here if you guys ever want to look through it. And here's a letter I got when he was at Augustana. I'll read this one. Paul, here's a budget report. Don't let a lot of people see this. A new added feature will be the coaches clinic on the back. It will be featured great basketball minds like Dan Knight. He always liked to think he was Dan Knight. And Paul Crum. The subscription rate is $12 a year, or a 12-pack of Bud, case of Old Milwaukee, or Meister Brew. I'm thinking, wow, I'd take the 12-pack of Bud, but I don't drink anymore, so I had to shoot up. I hope you enjoy the new features, articles, and future. We'll cover such things as recruiting, scouting, and burger night. Sincerely, Dan Knight. So he always sends out these nice little letters. When I was at Iowa Western, he put out another nice deal. Then when he's at Northeast Community College, he sent me his pet peeves. You know.
Nothing about refereeing
Refereeing. I don't like guys in zebra suits. Wow, Dan, that was mean. All right, some good players not remembering what plays are on defense, screening, blaming the officials for losses. The Marines have a saying that if you can do 20 push-ups, you can do 21. So good stuff there. And then, of course, Northeast had another thing, and it's and then he had Dan Anderson philosophy. So I'll go over that just real quick here. Well, it looks like they already have. I believe in the idea of learning something new every day. I have a perspective that as I started out each day with a general thought posted outside my office door. Players come to read and see what I emphasize each day. I try to incorporate ideas such as honesty, courage, loyalty, discipline, unselfishness, confidence, leadership, teamwork, heart, passion, effort, dedication, and perseverance. Whew, that's awesome, Dan. Good thing I worked out this morning so I get through that whole sentence. This open door policy allowed communication in caring environmental, which builds relationships based on mutual trust and respect. With the bonds together, we are able to set goals and make commitment. That's just part of his philosophy. That was beautiful. And then we go on, general thoughts. I'm sure you guys are going to talk about general thoughts, but the one I remembered, and I did part of it today, is, did you make your bed this morning? Well, I did half of it. I didn't do the other side, Sherry, sorry, but I did get half of it. And the best treat of all, I get 5 minutes here and I'm almost done, is the book that he wrote, Basketball My Way by Dan Anderson. You get my first autographed copy, Dan Anderson, 1983. And there it is, just loaded of information there. And I just pulled that out this week and thought, gee, this is going to be nice, because I thought we were going to a book signing when we first talked about this. I noticed all the books, so. Can I have you sign it again, bro?
Well, I don't know. I hear it's on the New York.
It is. I had to call and get it back from him, but it was.
Well, they have one copy, that's it.
But I want to thank you for everything you've done for me. You've been an idol, you've been a hero. You've been there for me, a mentor, a leader. We just appreciate you and love you, and I can see why you stay at a place for so long because of what you've done. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Paul. Yeah, that reminds me, we do have books on the table, and those are for you to look through and take one home. When Dan unpacked his office at the college, he brought home so many books, and we have tons of books, and they're really good. So he went through them to make sure that I didn't give away any signed copies from John Wooden, but there are some good ones there. He's even written in a lot of them and highlighted them. So next, Dan, after getting his master's, wanted to coach at a higher level. So he moved us to Augustana for 2 weeks. He was going to be the graduate assistant at Augustana. And then we moved up there, and then he was offered a job in Clarinda, Iowa. And one of his first recruits was Mike Jones, who played for him in Canton. So Mike is going to come up, or Canton, but then Dan recruited him to play at Iowa Western in Clarinda. So Mike's going to come up and talk about his experiences with Coach.
Can I try to do it without the mic? Can you hear me okay back there or no? Good? Okay. Hey, first of all, are there any players that played for Coach Anderson here who were born before May 5th, 1968? Oh, damn. Okay. So, get out the readers then and see what we can do.
You need a phone?
Well, I've got notes, you see, in here. That's how that works. Unfortunately, my wife got me a new phone, and I don't know how to open it. And there's no home button anymore. But anyway, as Mrs. Coach mentioned, in those early years back in the 80s, I was part of the teams in Canton, South Dakota, where Coach Anderson got his start in coaching. In fact, I can remember walking to school each day as a nervous, self-conscious middle school student. I was probably about 6'4" and 125 pounds. So with the last name of Jones, you can imagine my nickname was Bones. And that's where my self-consciousness came from. And there were a couple of coaches in my life back then, Mr. Herbson and Coach Anderson and Coach Gibbon and several others that for some reason saw something in this gangly, tall, skinny kid. They saw something, I don't know what. But I can remember walking to school each day down Elder Street, and between my house on Elder Street and our junior-senior high school was Coach Anderson's house. And I would walk down that sidewalk, and I can vividly remember getting to the big maple tree across the street from Coach Anderson's house and stopping behind that maple tree and waiting for that garage door to go up on his house in hopes that he would back out, and if I timed it just right, I'd step out from behind that tree and Coach Anderson would see me and he'd offer me a ride to school. which he did several times on many occasions. And that was the first of many rides that we would take together. To this day, we were part of I had to rewrite this part time and time again, which is why I'm looking at it. We were a part of the best basketball teams to ever go through Canton High School. To this day, they still talk about our teams. They invited us back for a reunion, and of course, Coach is too busy coaching to come to the reunions. Coach Gibbon, he's here somewhere maybe. I don't know if he made it down or not. No? Okay. Well, he made it to some of those, and as we talked there with our teammates, a lot of the talk would turn to Coach Anderson and wishing that Coach Anderson was there at those reunions. So hopefully we have another one coming up at some point. But thanks to the influence of our coaches, and in particular for me, Coach Anderson, we got to be a part of those great teams. Then in 1986, I graduated and I enrolled in my freshman year at South Dakota State University. I really had no idea why, so I majored in partying and skipping class. And by the end of the year, I'd been placed on double secret academic probation by Dean Warmer. That summer, I took a job in a plastics factory in Brookings, South Dakota. And one day my floor supervisor came out and he said, "Mike, hey, you've got a phone call in the workroom over here." And I thought, who in the hell even knows I'm here? Like, my parents don't even know I'm here, right? And so I go in there and I pick up the phone and find out that on the other end of that phone is Coach Anderson. His influence was not yet over. He said, "Mike, just took a head coaching job at a junior college in southwest Iowa, and I'd like you to come play for me." Well, that fall I was moving to Clarinda, Iowa to enroll at Iowa Western Community College. Now, our teams in Clarinda didn't win as many games as our teams in Canton. I was certainly not the best player on the teams in Canton by a long shot. But somehow I still got recruited by this man, along with some of my high school classmates and schoolmates. I'm pretty sure that I won more pool tournaments at the Ice House across from campus than we won games in those early years at Clarinda. But even though we didn't have the best records, I can say with certainty that we had great outside shooters. Unfortunately, all our games were played indoors. At the high school gymnasium in Clarinda. Now, the memories of those years, though vague for good reason, are also fond. The teammates, Easy, Biscuit, Easy, Biscuit, I remember him well, can you tell? Doc, Ike, former high school rivals like Tim Olmstead, who was from Lenox, South Dakota, and played baseball there, and former Canton schoolmates like David Burick, who's here today. The practices, the ice house, the weight room, the ice house, the classes, the ice house, our professors, the late night road trips, the conversations about the game of basketball, coaches' plans of building something special and at Iowa Western, and the more important conversations about the game of life. You know, like coach's influence, those will always be a part of me. This is, my wife's kind of giggling right now because she knew this part was coming. My allergies get going. Especially in Nebraska. Gee whiz. Wow. All right. So I know that coach's influence and those memories will always be a part of me, my family. Speaking of my family, how many? I got 5 minutes? Okay. So speaking of my family, and Junior said I could go ahead with this. If you have kids under the age of 12, you may want to cover their ears. Oh boy.
I didn't do any of what you're going to say.
No. So the influence on my family. When my son was in 8th grade, I was coaching their 8th grade basketball team, and Northeast came to town to play Southeast Community College. And whenever they came down, we always tried to make arrangements so that they could come over and have a meal at our house. This last time we came over, and I don't know if I brought it up here or not, probably not. I'll have to get that later. But we got a pretty good picture that we'll put over here later of Coach leaving our house with Junior and the big Trailways bus out in front of our house on Thompson Street. Our neighbors must have been thinking, what in the world is going on over at the Joneses, you know? But my son, who was in 8th grade, I was coaching his team, and we took him down, and we got to see Coach's team practice the day before, and we were going down to the game, and we went down to the game, and we're sitting behind, of course, the opponent's bench, because that's where we live, is down there. But we're sitting behind Northeast's bench, listening to every word, and it's a close game, 3-point game. And actually, I think it was a 2-point game now that I think about it. And Coach has got the huddle around, and he's facing the bench. And I've got 6 8th grade boys sitting there in the bleachers, and they're all leaning forward because it's close. And SCC has got the ball with a chance to win. There's about 4 seconds left on the clock. And Coach sits down on his bench, and I could probably borrow your cane, but anyway, he sits down on the stool, and he's looking at his guys, and he says, now here's, I better channel my inner coach here. All right, now, this is what's going to happen. They're going to inbound the ball, and the point guard's going to take one dribble, and it's going to go off his foot. And you pick up the ball, and you don't effing pass it. Now, I abbreviated that. My son and his 8th grade classmates are going. The coach stands up, and he comes over, and he stands next to me, and he crosses his arms, and he goes, Mike, You're going to have to teach Tate what that word means. So not only has he been influenced me, he's been influenced my family. Now the rest of the story is, though, so guess what happened? SCC threw the ball in. They dribbled off their foot. The ball went rolling. Northeast player picked it up. Game was over. Big upset. I don't know if any of you were there for that one, but it was good. Well, I know one person was. So, all right. I've probably taken more than my 5 minutes. Coach Don Meyer said, people love us not for what they see in us, but for what we see in them. Thank you, Coach, for seeing something in me and so many others through the years. We love you. Now, in my office, I've got a picture signed by John Wooden, and I've got a picture signed by Don Meyer, and I'm missing one. So I've got a picture of me and Coach, and I need an autograph.
Good job.
Awesome. Thank you, Mike. That was awesome. Okay, well, Mickey came along while we were in Clarinda, and we were busy. We found time even to take ballroom dancing lessons, and we'll model that later. No. Glenn Miller's birthplace was Clarinda, so that was big. But also, we have legendary player coach Noel Bodansky here today. He coached the Iowa Western baseball team, and he's going to speak now. He likes to talk too, so.
I'll be nice.
You'll be nice.
Really, Dan, I'll be nice.
Do you want this?
Are you guys moving soon?
No.
Good. And check that out. When they came to Clarinda, we only moved 3 times. And we're talking big movers. Hey, can you come over? I'm the baseball coach. Had nothing to do with basketball. Much. He did get a couple of my baseball players to play basketball. On your tables, there's a thing that me and Dan did every Wednesday night for 8 years that we were together. Maybe 9. What was it, Dan?
8.
Bingo! Oh man, on your table there's a bingo sheet. Everybody get a bingo sheet. We're gonna play bingo here. This is my 5 minutes, so you've got to play bingo. You're right there in the middle. Got numbers. The only thing is, I was gonna bring my markers and have to charge you $2 a piece. So, don't need it. Can you hear me back then? Okay, we're gonna use this for Dan, because I'm not gonna call it. I was the head honcho of bingo. Even though he was the AD, I made all the money. We ran bingo Wednesday and Sunday after church. So we did get our 10%. It's surprising. A couple of things about bingo. You know what? You all could have been in our bingo hall way back then, you know? Look at them. And yep, about the same age as all our beautiful bingo players. All right. The only bad thing is, I know she'll witness this. My wife's here. Before they put the no smoking in public buildings, we had a gym. Paul's been in our gym. Probably 20-foot high ceiling. And you know how you got smoke coming in from Canada and down and coming in like that? Well, by the time we got done playing bingo, it was maybe 8 foot off the gym floor. You go home, you take a shower, guess what? You smell, Camel, no, Winston. Yeah. You had it every Wednesday night, and I'm surprised that we got by with it. Now, again, like I said, Wednesday and Sundays. I did a lot of the calling, but there was always times where maybe I had a baseball trip and he had a call. Now, on those sheets, I'm sorry, you're going to have to imagine or take some gravy off your plate and dab it if you don't have a pen. Anybody that wins a bingo, Okay? If you get a bingo, because it's only 5 numbers, somebody's going to be lucky. It's 1 in 8 billion chance that somebody's going to get a 5-ball bingo. So I'm not too worried about giving out any prizes. But if you do, bring it up here and Coach Anderson will sign it. All right? I mean, nobody down there was getting it. He just gave them the money. Here's the money. Here's the money. Okay, Dan, you ready for this? Bring back old memories. This is something that you can do. Okay, I'll shake them up. Yeah, I know. I was going to bring that up, but I don't have a pickup big enough for it. Yeah, we were high tech, better than this. Okay, Dan. Draw a number.
One question.
Yes.
You remember the old lady that sat right in the front
Mrs. Harms.
that chewed us out?
Yes.
She was even when we went to her funeral.
Yes.
She was laying in the casket.
Right.
She's still chewing us out as we went by.
Mrs. Harms. She was one of our avid players. She was about 80 years old. We cuddled up to her thinking, hey, we got some money coming. Wait, look at this crowd, Dan. We would make about $600, $700 here in this next 5 minutes if we had charged them.
But then we would skim some too.
Yeah, but I only took the pennies. Okay, here you go, Dan.
Okay.
Okay, on your cards, look for it.
B4.
B4. Everybody
B4.
looking for B4. You can keep that as momentum. Okay, here you go, another one.
G60. Check your cards. G60.
Okay,
I've done this a few times.
no bingos yet. Remember, if you do get a bingo, you gotta yell it out really loud. Top of your lungs, bingo! So we can find you and call back the number so we make sure you win.
I-24.
I-24. Hey, we only got 2 balls left. One.
O75.
Oh, 75. Oh, we're going. Here it is. Who's going to get this last one? Oh.
N40.
I think everybody had bingo. Right? Hey, get that box for me, would you, Chris? Yeah. The one with the bingo balls on it. Because I know, Dan, hey, as I retired a couple years ago. You always got to find something to do on the outside. Well, inside that box is a bingo set just for you. Yep. So you can play Christmas and all the other holidays. Okay? But yeah, that was our money maker. He was my AD. He just said, schedule whoever you want. Don't spend too much money, because we didn't want to get the president of the Council Bluffs mad. So I was the first one that got him mad, so I left first. And then the year later, his basketball team, gone. So obviously I'm in love with Iowa Western because of him. Now, one last one. We used to go to the Indiclaire. All right. Mike didn't. He went to the Ice House. The adults went to the Indiclaire. And we used to have fun night for the adult kids, adult students, put it that way. And we used to sing karaoke. This guy, some of you basketball players, I don't know if he ever sang to you or not, but he can sing. Now, here is a song he let me sing. You ever heard the song Wipeout? That's the only song I've ever sang with him. It's the only song I ever sang because I only know one line. And it was, woo-hoo-hoo, Wipeout! And that was it. That's my singing career. So it has always been a pleasure knowing him and seeing him coach. And, you know, he treated everybody the same. His ball players, my ball players. He got me a lot of guys like David Veer came down, and you know, with Mike saying guys from South Dakota. You know, Paul brought some down. You know, hey, it was like family affair, but it was good. And again, Chris and the girls, What else could we have? It was a lovely time, and good luck. All right, here you go. Oh, cheers.
Yeah, thanks, Bo. We're not going to let Dan talk till the end. A new opportunity came when Dan was asked to be an assistant coach at our alma mater, Augustana. We felt this would be a good move for us and might lead to a head coaching job one day. But our hopes were shattered when, after 2 years, the head coach was asked to resign. This is a reality in coaching, so we had to deal with it the best we could. Dan sent out his resume, and we had an interview in Brainerd, Minnesota. And after visiting the area, the roads were lined with tall trees, and I couldn't see anything, and I was so claustrophobic. I was an Iowa farm girl, and I wasn't used to that. Plus, it was late in the season, and there were no teaching jobs available for me. So we just had to suck it up and go one more year at Augustana. And then the opportunity here at Northeast came. I lost my place. We hated to leave Sioux Falls. I remember our cat, Honey, and I were both crying all the way to Beersford, South Dakota. But we finally decided enough is enough. We're moving on. And I was happy to see when we arrived, sitting in our driveway was the vice president of the college, Bill Path, and Matt Savela, the girls' basketball coach. And they were there to help us move in. So it's been a great place to live, and I'm going to have Matt come up and share now.
Thank you, Chris. I think you guys lost money on that bingo night, Coach. That looks like we got a lot of winners here. The whole bingo thing, they talk about, I know Mike mentioned that F-bomb that got thrown in a huddle. And they always said, well, do you know how to get 50 ladies to drop that F-bomb when maybe they shouldn't drop it? Have one of them yell bingo, and the other 50 are going to, maybe that's why you had everybody win. We didn't have to hear that word. I've known Coach Anderson long time, 25 years-ish, when they moved to Norfolk, and he's been the men's coach there. I've been the women's coach. Our offices are right side by side, and so you get to know each other quite well. I got to know a lot of his family. Barb and Speck, I really respected Speck. He reminded me a lot of John Wooden in his appearance a little bit, his mannerisms, and so I still think that Coach Anderson inherited a lot of that. So we sometimes forget about, the apples that fall next to the tree, whatever. So you guys did a great job of raising this young man. I guess I kind of want to start here a little bit. As a women's coach and a men's coach, some places those coaches don't get along real well because you're fighting for gym space. We're supposed to practice. The guys are still on the court and all that kind of stuff. Our relationship's been really unbelievable. He's so easy to work with. If he wants to switch a practice, and maybe I wanted to move my practice, he was always, yeah, hey, that's fine. We can accommodate. You guys can come when you need to come. He's a family man. So Chris, Megan, Molly, Mickey, Coach, we have a lot of discussions about basketball, but we talked about a lot of things about life and families, and there's great sacrifices. Just like Mike wanted Coach to come back for the Canton reunion, well, he's coaching basketball, and I know that he talked about sometimes he couldn't get to some daughter's things. He's coaching basketball. So he really values that you guys allowed him to coach. And I think as my wife and our boys were growing up, he always tried to say, hey, you gotta make sure you get to your boy stuff if you can and do all that kind of stuff. So a reminder. So I see all of his players here, a lot of memories of what I remember those guys playing, and of course, as a coach, he's going to give you that tough love. There's times he's going to be all over you, but he had a short memory. He would be there to hug you, pick you up, love you, teach you, coach you, get on you again, discipline you. You got to get to class. His general thoughts that he put up outside his office, a lot of great things to read. And I also think part of the reason he put those up is he wanted the guys to come by the office so he could, just chat with them, get to know them. And I think that's why his teams always played so dang hard, because they didn't want to let him down. I've got a lot of memories of Northeast with Coach when we'd go and speak sometimes, and we're both still at the college. We had to kind of like filter stuff because we didn't want to get fired, right? You can't talk about everything you did and what happened. And I still work at the college, so I still have to kind of filter what I'm going to say because I don't want to get fired. No, a couple of trips. I remember going up to North Dakota State College of Science. We'd go up there early in the year, and North Dakota always gets a lot of snow. These guys probably remember going up there. Tough place to play, good basketball teams. You felt like the booster members were the officials some nights, like how are we going to beat this? How are we going to beat this group? I remember one game they're playing United Tribe, and they got probably nobody taller than 5'11", and all they want to do is shoot 30-footers, and they're all going in that night. And coach is just going, what are you going to do? It's just one of those nights sometimes. And but he's always had a good sense of humor and kept things real. I remember on that North Dakota trip, of course, we always had to battle snow and conditions like that. And Gio Bain, who was a 7-footer that played at Northeast, great guy. And he had this hair here that was all over the place. And early in the morning, Coach was always the first one down in the lobby, and I was probably number 2. You go down early. It's game day. Stayed at the hotel. We play this day, and we're down at this little buffet area eating. And there wasn't much to eat, but there's enough. And Gio takes an egg and puts it in the microwave. And we're sitting at this table, and Gio comes down. Hey, Gio, how you doing? He heats it up. He sits down. I'm doing pretty good, and his fork hit that egg, and the egg went flying, and it gets all up in his hair. And I think we're still laughing about that story. So I have no idea if we won games that weekend, but you remember the things that have nothing to do with on the court sometimes. Like these guys that look at this table, I see Aaron over here. Aaron came in at about 122 pounds. Now he's 124 pounds. But real thin, and he learned how to get tougher, and coach would be, come on, Aaron, let's go. And that coach's voice. Sean Swan, probably still the greatest leaper to ever play at Northeast. It just jumps out of the world and brought that wow factor to the gym. So when people would go to Norfolk High and Lutheran games and Norfolk Catholic games that haven't really been out much, come out to the college, all of a sudden they're going, oh my God, how high does that guy jump? And whatever, I see Cameron nodding here. Cameron played in the post, out of the post, and Coach Anderson, 6'8" of him, always played in the post, obviously. Maybe you shot threes, I don't know. He's one of the few post players that doesn't think they should shoot the three. Every other post thinks they want to shoot the three. So Coach has his post-up rules that, hey, don't mess with the ball in there. And this, one dribble, go make your move. And Cameron broke all the rules. He dribbled 62 times, but nobody could stop him. So I go, Coach, God, Cam had a heck of a game, but geez, you like him dribbling all the time in the post like that? He goes, I make an exception at times, and Cam's an exception to the rule. And I remember we're playing at McCook, and there was a guy probably Joe's height, and tough little broad shoulder, looked like he maybe, I don't know if McCook had a wrestling team, but it looked like it brought him from the wrestling team over, and their job was don't let Cam in the paint. And this guy literally, Cam sits low when he posts up. What I mean by that, he's really low. Well, this guy was even lower, and he puts his back to Cam, and he's literally driving him out of the lane And I'm sitting there going, well, the referees aren't saying anything. And coach is probably going, come on, Cam, you got to get tougher. Let's go. And I'm going, how is this not a foul? This is ridiculous. The next year we go there, and so the games at McCook were wars. I mean, they were battles. And you play in this gym about the size of this room, and the baseball players came and sat right on the stage on the sideline. And we were lucky we played early. Me being the girls' coach, the baseball guys weren't up yet because they were a rowdy group. And so we get done playing a game the next year, I believe, and then coach calls me over. And we always confided in each other on stuff. So sometimes recruits, hey, who do you want to play this year? Let's get rid of that team, and always work together. And he calls me over. I come out of the locker room, and he goes, hey, we got a problem. I go, what's up? He goes, the refs aren't going to make it for our game, and they want to use these refs, the refs that did our game. And we did not have very good refs and whatever. And I'm like, I've seen the games against McCook, man. I go, coach, you do what you want, but I'm saying no way, no how. So we got on the bus. We drove home. The guys did not play. They went and made another trip out there. So those kind of memories kind of stick out. When I knew, coach was a really good guy, he never got mad at me. I never got mad at him. We worked things out. You guys were going on vacation. And Honey, their cat, needed someone to care for him. Maybe it wasn't Honey. Okay, they had a couple cats. And our boys were young at the time, and I'm thinking, well, this would be great. Okay, coach says, can you take care of the cats? Yeah, this isn't a problem. This would be great. I'll bring the boys over. We'll feed the cats. We don't have any cats. They'll like this. They can pet the cats and this and that, whatever. So I think they were gone for a week. Florida, I don't know where they went. And they come back, and I'm at the office, and coach goes, hey, you're back. I said, yeah, how was the trip? He goes, oh, great. And he goes, the cats were really excited to see us. And I said, oh, yeah? He goes, they're meowing like crazy. And I don't know if I said it, thought it, but I'm going, oh, shit. And I go, coach, are they still alive? And he says, yeah, but we need to buy a new box of Twinkies because they got into the Twinkies. So I watch shows like Naked and Afraid and those Survivor shows, and you can go a long time without eating. So cats can at least go on Twinkies alone for a week. I don't know about anything else. Chris, I apologize. I know I'm going longer than 5 minutes here. Just we just have one referee here tonight. Those, yeah, I figured. Now when coach has a chance to confront them, now they want to go and run and hide. Okay, Jimmy, I need you to come up here, buddy. No, you got to come here. You got to come here. This is one of the famous referees in the Norfolk area, still officiating. Okay, just for old time's sake, just stand right here. Fold your arms, and then put one here, there. Stand up.
That might take a while.
It's okay. Hands on the hips, coach. Just. All right, good. That's good. You go sit down now.
25 years and I waited to do that.
Well, the one thing, what I like about Jimmy as a ref is, and anybody that's coached, you know, there's things you dislike about referees, and it's like, if they never own it, then it's like, really, you're never wrong. I've had you for 20 years, and you never missed a call. Jimmy just came over and said, yeah, I blew it. I blew it. And then all a coach can do is go, all right, he said he blew it. I guess he got to go sit down. So if referees were smart, they would maybe just, you know, just admit it once in a while. But very few have the ability to do that. So that's all I got. Coach, I want to thank you a bunch. Don't be a stranger. He won't. I'll probably bring him out and have him come into practice. So, Chris, if you're wondering where he is, call me. He's probably back out at the gym. So, all right, thank you, Coach.
Awesome. Thank you. see what good people we have. Geez. Norfolk, you know, it was tough on the girls, I think, moving all the time. But, you know, we've been here 25 years, so it's home. It's home. Dan has put his heart and soul into coaching. But I think he realized that this would probably be his last coaching gig. But besides coaching basketball, he also put time into developing his own daughter's softball and basketball skills. And I'm gonna let each of them come up and talk. Megan first. Megan lives right here in Norfolk, where she and her husband, Megan has the patience of her father and teaches 6th grade at the middle school. Her husband Caleb works at Big Red Printing, and he's busy coaching Elin softball. They just came. Did you win? Good. Elin will be in 6th grade next year, and their son Ezra is anxious for summer to begin, and he will be in 3rd grade. So Megan's going to speak now.
Thank you all for coming. Basketball has always been a huge part of our lives ever since we were little. I have many fond memories of Iowa Western in Clorinda calling bingo nights and teaching my sisters in the empty classrooms. Mickey only had a few broken bones, I think, on my watch. In Sioux Falls, I also remember Augie dressing in our pajamas and eating popcorn during Midnight Madness. We always looked forward to Dad's games and wore his team colors with pride. We moved to Norfolk my freshman year in 1998 and quickly fell in love with the community. I worked as the team's statistician for over 16 years. Sitting at press row, I had the best seat in the gym. For most of that time, I sat within spitting distance of the opposing bench, and I enjoyed listening to all the whining and groaning coming from that direction. Jim Morris of Iowa Western was the best. I don't know if he's here.
Oh, one question. Who was the worst then?
I don't know. You? No. No. All through high school, college, getting married, and having kids, I never missed a game. I loved working with my husband for most of those years. Caleb and I were known as the dream team, or maybe that's just what we called ourselves, and received compliments from the opposing coaches for our work. Okay, enough about me. I'm proud of my dad, so proud of my dad in his 46 years in coaching. He's a tremendous coach, not only on the court, but in life. My favorite trait about my dad is his humility and his passion for learning. He's kind and he's a good listener. Though his size intimidates most, he's the most approachable guy you'll meet. He's generous, hardworking, and lives with integrity. Though I learned some colorful language during those timeouts, he possesses the strength of gentleness. He's courteous and cares deeply about developing the character of his players. Dad, after 46 years, more than 600 players impacted, you made your mark. You did well. I'm proud of you, and I love you. Okay, Molly's coming up next. My sister Molly is a massage therapist who lives in Omaha with her family. Ephraim works at Douglas County Jail and is an active sergeant in the Army Reserves. Their son Aiden will be a freshman next year at Millard West. Afton will be in 3rd grade. It's Aiden's 14th birthday tomorrow. So we're celebrating his birthday today as well as Dad's retirement. Happy birthday, Aiden.
Thank you, Megan. It's good to have everybody here celebrating my father. I just want to say thank you. I'm so grateful to be your daughter. You have been an inspiration to many, and I'm so proud of you and all your hard work. Thanks for training my big man over there. I think he's about 6'3". So he will never forget training over the summer in the sand with some great athletes. and then going to McDonald's after. That's his favorite memory. I enjoyed being the coach's daughter. I have many great memories growing up on the court that you have taught me really great life lessons that I can pass to my kids. Thank you so much. Oh, and then Mickey is next. She taught 4th grade here in Norfolk. She married a Hawkeyes fan and moved to Iowa, where she teaches 3rd grade. In Carlisle, her husband Heath works at Simpson College in Indianola and is the cross-country track and athletic director. Their parents to Eden Elizabeth, who will be 3 years old next month, and then a new baby, Augie, is 7 months old.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. I want to take a moment, too, to thank my mom for planning all of this. She's an elementary teacher. She just retired this year. So if you notice all the theme, like it's very elementary education. So great job, Mom. Thanks for making this day special. Yeah, you can give a round of applause for her. Yeah. Plus, I get major brownie points. So for saying that. Growing up as a child of a basketball coach, I had the best childhood imaginable. I was actually born during basketball season. I think Dad coached a game that night after I was born. I spent a lot of time running around the court. Some of the players, I probably was that annoying little girl running around chasing after you. I remember you from basketball camp. You were my buddy, so thanks. Loved running around the gym. I didn't watch many of the games as a child because even though I was at all of them, I was too busy eating nachos. I even remember asking Dad if I could borrow money during the game for the concession stand. This quickly changed as I got older, and I lived and died with every play. I had to buy suckers so I wouldn't yell at the referees too much. So sorry, Jimmy. Probably remember me. But the games were great. But I loved the culture that my dad created, and I loved being a part of it. I remember riding the bus to the basketball games and sitting on the bench with all of his teammates. I got to hang out with the players who were so cool. I remember doing basketball camps and reffing 4-on-4 and having them over to the house for Thanksgiving and Christmas. While basketball consumed a lot of my dad's time and energy, he still made time for me. He coached my softball team for 10 years, and I will forever and always be grateful for all of these years and our memories that we made together. These last few years have been very special for my family because I've gotten to take my 2 kids to my dad's basketball games, even though they're not the home games, they're the away games. I heard someone boo when they said Hawkeye fan. I married a Hawkeye and they just kicked me out of this state, like faster than I could move. But I got to teach my daughter Eden how to raid the concession stand now, and she's currently at the nacho eating stage. Don't worry, I still buy suckers when I go to the game as well. We will miss the games, but I'm so excited to have Grandpa be able to come visit us from October to March now. And I'm sure my dad is equally excited that he will no longer have to miss Lawrence Welk on Saturday nights. Next up is, finally, my brother, Junior. Junior started playing for my dad in 2011, and he never went home. Just kidding. He's been part of our family as well as a part of many families here in town. Junior has helped my dad with recruiting, with coaching, with laundry, and everything else that a coach has to do. So Junior, come on up. My brother Junior, everyone.
I hope I don't get emotional. I don't know how to say this, Coach, but it's been a long time coming. Trying not to get emotional, but you treated me like a son you never had. Coach, Coach, Coach. I don't know how to begin. There's so many things I want to say to you. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Just need a minute. You made a great impact in my life. So many other people that aren't even a part of the basketball program. I would like for everyone that's sitting in this room to know how much you mean to me. For the past 9 years, being around you has been a blessing to me. You taught me so many things in life that I didn't know. You always took the time to understand me and teach me. You love me like the son that you never had, and I'm truly grateful for that. I will always miss the bus ride and all the conversation in the hotels. We stay in at nights before the games. I remember one night you said to me, "You sleep more than me than you sleep with my wife." So, those was always funny because knowing Coach, he's always been a person that Coach has been his thing, and he loved it. Chris always supported him, and, wherever he's at, he just always take the time out to put the team first. What I want people to know that understand you is never. What I want people to understand about you is that I have never met a coach that loves the game as much as you do. You would take the kids that never had a father figure, and you will make a huge impact in their life. You'll always leave your door open for the kids that need a father figure to talk to, and that's Coach right there. No matter where you're at, recruiting or whatever time it is in the night, you could pick up the phone and call him. He would pick up the phone. I guarantee you that. I'm going to tell this funny story because a lot of people don't really realize, what coaches have to go through. So one day, we were going to Gary, Indiana. We knew it was not a great environment, not a great neighborhood. But when Coach stepped out that car and the neighborhood we were going into, I'm going like, wow. Some people should not be in this place, but Coach still did it. Coach, everybody in the neighborhood kind of saw a white guy come out of the car, 6'8", and saw a black guy. And they're probably looking at us like, you're in the wrong neighborhood. But you know what? Coach did what he had to do. And as we were going inside the home of the family, the kid we were recruiting, I kind of said to myself is that, Coach, I don't know if any other coach would do it, but for him, he always loved what he did. So if he has to recruit a kid, he will go in and do what he have to do. He'll show his presence, do what he have to do, whilst his wife is at home. And for that, I really appreciate that. I love that about him because no matter what, he's always about integrity. And when he does something, he loves when he actually basically do it with all his heart. He's not gonna go 1 foot in, he's gonna go both foot in. And for that, I'm grateful for having Coach in my life. And one thing I wanna say, Coach, is that I know a lot of coaches don't realize is that I probably is the last coach that survived with him. So I'm gonna be the favorite assistant coach that he ever had. So I wanna introduce Coach Mom Barbara Anderson. So Ms. Bob, can you come up? Thanks, Coach.
Before I start this, we have a whole line standing back there. There are seats up here. If you're getting tired, feel free to come up. Or if you get tired, go get a cup of coffee. Well, I want you to know when Chris had asked me if I wanted to say a few words, I said to Dan, is this going to be a roast? And he said, Mom, I don't know, but there might be some that come out. And I got to thinking. Now, some of this group is older, like I. I think I'm the oldest one here, though, when I'm saying this. Do you remember Ralph Edwards? This Is Your Life? Is any of them? Yep. Or he was there in the 50s and the 60s. He came back in the 70s. And I think I saw that maybe in 83, he tried to bring that program back. So this got me thinking about, well, what I'm going to say about Big Dan. Well, I met his father. Get ready for this, you young kids. I met his dad when I was 18. His dad was 28. My sisters couldn't believe my mother would let me date an older man. But he was a good man, and Dan is most like him. And so we got married when we were 20 and 30. And sure enough, 2 months later, I'm pregnant. So I say to my mom, and I was thrilled because there was nothing to do in Dune, small town. And I told Mom, I said, I'm pregnant. And my mom comes out of the old school and said, so soon? And I said, but Mom, there wasn't nothing else to do in Dune. So that started my years of having kids. We had them every 4 years, and we had our last one, she's not here, Minneapolis, Barbie, when I was 40, and Spec was 50. Well, it was a great life in Dune, a wonderful little town. If anybody's been there, you know about the Dune Steakhouse. Dan, I have to say that when Dan was born, he was 9'3", 23.5 inches long. They measured him twice. And good kid. And I really, honestly, Dan, I tried to think back. I don't think I remember, or his father, ever scolding him. I wish I could say that to the rest of them. I'm kidding. His two brothers are sitting over here. Anyway, it was Dune was really a wonderful place, and you've noticed Dune keeps coming to this. But when he was a sophomore, he called. By then, we had lost the high school, junior high, everything to Rock Rapids, which is called Central Lyon. And when Dan was a sophomore, he called and said, Dad, I missed the bus. And then he said, Dad, it's so cold. It was 20 below. So that did it. So Spec had a chance to go down to Rock Valley. There was 3 banks. They're called Valley State Banks. So that's the move to Rock Valley. And it was a hard move because Paul was like 2nd grade. Tom was junior high, and Dan at that level. That's not easy. But he survived it and enjoyed it. And in fact, his senior year, he was vice president of his senior class, who was well-liked, the big boy. And so, of course, then we're looking at college. What are we going to do? And so this is where the love of the junior college came into it. And so he applied there, enjoyed it there. Then he went up to Augie. If you've thought of this as repeat, to Augie. And then from there, Chris is not into the picture yet. Then from Augie, no, wait a minute, I'm wrong on this. Augie to college. To college, and this is when he came back to Canton. And I got to tell you a story. This is on Chris. That I was sitting there visiting with one of the ex-superintendents. And he came up to me and he said, you know, Mrs. Anderson, he said, I had one of your kids when I was teaching, but he was the superintendent. He did some teaching too. And so, of course, I got all, oh, yeah, oh, really? Yeah, nice. And he said, I want you to know I really enjoyed her. It was Chris he was talking about, not Dan. I'll often remember that, Chris. Well, any which way, when he left Canton, his uncle was in the bank. He owned the bank. Said to Dan, Dan, if you'll stay, he said, I want you to come into the bank. But Dan had decided at that time he wanted to go back, get the big degree, go into college coaching. So if you've ever at a game when Dan loses the game, you'll often hear him said, I should have been a banker. So that comes out. Yeah, those were the good years. And so then on from there, when he left, he went down to Clarinda, and that's where I got to meet all the good old Clarinda friends. And of course, his dad is still living. His dad has been gone now 11 years. And so I remember the nights we'd go down to the bar and have a beer or two and some pizza. Those were really great years. Then from there, of course, it's back up to, from there, we went to Augie to coach there. And that is the first time, Dan, I saw a big jackrabbit thrown onto the court. And, you know, that's a rivalry with the State and Augustana. And I think, if I'm right, Dan, if a rabbit came out, you had to forfeit the game. That was really a no-no. So that's what? Oh, okay, you didn't lose the game, it was a technical. But I've never seen a big jackrabbit dead on the court. Well, then anyway, from there, of course, back down to Norfolk, and great memories there. And I just said to Dan, just a couple weeks ago, he was home for Mother's Day. He was an adopted boy, a guard, very fast, quick. Father was an orthopedic surgeon in Omaha. And one of the games, Dad wasn't there. So the next time I saw him, I came up to him and I said, Doc, I missed you at that ball game. And he looked at me, and of course now I really believe it at 92 years of age. He said, if people like you would stay home out of that ice, I could have been there, because he did 3 hip surgeries that day. I thought that, and you know what? He's right on that. Our winters have been severe now. So from there, Dan will always, of course, we go by numbers. We have 6, so Dan's number 1, and I remind him of that. And some things that you might know about Dan. 1, he has a wonderful wife, wonderful daughter-in-law, 3 beautiful 6-foot girls, 6 grandchildren. And I do think Aiden, who's here, only a freshman, I think he'll be taller than Dan. He could hit 7 foot. I can believe that as I see him now. Now, the things that you don't know about Dan is he played the baritone in the band. As it came up, he plays the piano. Just told me that 2 weeks ago. Again, onward Christian soldiers, as the kids march down to the classrooms. 3, there is no school at Dune at all, but they have an all-school reunion that they do every 3 years. Guess who gets called back to speak? Dan goes back every 3 years, and he gives the major speak, just reminiscing about his early years. And best of all, I need to tell you, if you read his resume, it doesn't say Rock Valley. It says Dune. That's the great love of doing, and that's why he goes back with it. But best of all, and I can tell you all because I'm the oldest one here, that he calls me once a week. And of course, it's a joke. If you notice on some of the kids, they've got the favorite. Everybody was the favorite. As I say to you, the town of Norfolk, the college is going to miss him. And the kids are going to miss him. And as the book of Matthew says, a job done, my favorite servant. And Dan, that is you. And I love you. So thank you. And thank you for listening.
Nice, Barb. Okay. I promised Dan I would let him speak, so we better let Dan speak. His general thoughts, finally. You get to speak. Okay. And then I hope, if anybody else wants to say a few words, there's time for that. If you have to go, we totally understand, but make sure you take some food with you.
Do I need to buy?
I think you should.
Okay.
Don't you?
Okay.
Say, before you stand, before you say this yourself, many years before you spoke, what would be the first word you would say?
Can everybody see me?
Right, tell it on the mic.
Okay. I think it's wrote right here. No. When you give speeches, you're always supposed to have an icebreaker. And of course, in those days when I didn't have neuropathy in my one foot where I'd go for balance, I'd go to the front of the room, or whether Coach and I are speaking at one of the service organizations, and my opening line would always be, can everybody see me? And I thought that was funny. There's others inappropriate ways that I used to say, but I can't do that no more. But one thing, Mark, remember, I don't know if you picked up on that. I was home for Mother's Day. You sound like you weren't there.
She always says you call first.
And I call early because I get up early. Well, I want to thank you all for coming. For 46 years, or 47 years, it's been a long time, and even before I was even officially a coach, we used to have coaches in Dune because we used to play plastic ball, where we'd juice up the bats with black tape and do all those things. But I worry about not saying some things or missing some things or saying things about people or just forgetting, because as you get a little bit older, you tend to get a little bit forgetful. But I kind of broke this down, and I said, when Chris asked me how long my speech is, or did you write your speech out, and he said, no, but I notice all you guys, come up here and you're looking at your phones all the time while you're giving speeches. I don't know what the hell you're doing or something like that. I just use paper here, and this isn't my speech. It's just a few notes that's written in big print because they don't see very well. But I do have these glasses. Just to keep me on track, because I could get off track real quick. But one thing at the college that we did, and we learned this from, it's kind of a West Winget deal, we'd always talk about, there's three things we're going to talk about. And the three things I want to talk about my family, I want to talk about general thoughts, where I'll bring up some of these things here, and then my farewell. First of all, because I'm a basketball coach, no one can accomplish great things without having a great team. And I probably have probably the best partner in the world to help me out here. She even told me what I had to wear today. Imagine that. But I couldn't do it without her. It's like you can be the star basketball player, and you can be the person who shoots all the time, you can be the person who dribbles all the time, but who's going to take the ball out of bounds to pass it to you? So you got to have a good team. And thanks, dear. Thanks for all you do, and I probably don't say it enough. Just a quick old story. I remember when we first met, you were a lifeguard. I remember coming to the swimming pool where you were lifeguarding, and I would just watch you lifeguard. I just was looking how tall you were, and you always had that little board in front. I wasn't looking at anything else or anything like that. But it was an enjoyable afternoon. Oh, golly. Megan, you kind of stole one of my stories about your icebreaker that you talked about when you were at one of your faculty meetings where you talked about, hey, I worked for 16 years for my father. And someone would who would that be? But yeah, and we are, I'm going to speak for Coach Savela because I know I can, because listening to him speak about our friendship. But you know what? When you and Caleb were doing the stats, we were proud of that. We were proud because sometimes, and I don't know if those people are in the room here, sometimes those stats are not up to par. I can say, what are they going to do, fire me? They're not up to par, and or they're not even there. Maybe they'll say, well, we'll stat it after the game. Well, that just doesn't seem right, but we appreciate all those stats. And Molly, thanks for all the kind words, and I just remember one thing, and we were playing South Sioux City, and South Sioux City girls were always a powerhouse. I don't know if they still are, but they sure were, because they won a bunch of state championships. And during that ball game, I don't know if you remember, you stood in and you took a charge, and you did it just like basketball camp. And I remember on the sideline, I started smiling. That's was pretty darn cool for you to take a charge. But you know, I appreciate, you know, you were raising those grandkids, and yeah, Aiden is going to be bigger and big, and I enjoyed watching Afton play soccer the other day. Sometimes my sentences get answered for me before I can. And even someone over there with the Cardinal hat on does the same thing too. So before I get the words out, he's already said the sentence, and he's on to the next thought. And then Mickey, just a brief thing about you, the Panther Posse, singing, Mickey, Mickey, you're so fine, you blow my mind. Someone once asked me about where General Thoughts came from. And General Thoughts are something that I ran across a long time ago when I was a North Carolina fan and still am. And I want to try to keep this short, so I'll go a little bit quick here. But Dean Smith, and I do want to say there's a story I could tell about North Carolina to try to recruit one of our players, but they took a Carter kid. And, you know, this has been a few years ago, so if you want to figure out who the Carter kid is, you got a pretty good NBA mind. But they took the Carter kid over Enoch Davis. Dean Smith always wrote general thoughts, and yes, the general thoughts were always posted on the door because it made the people come by, and you could always do some things, because sometimes when you're being a coach, sometimes you do more coaching off the floor than you do on the floor, and you can do more things on the court and everything, but when you get them in your office and you talk about things, and sometimes you do a lot more coaching when you don't talk about basketball and you talk about other things. And I don't know, and I see Kim Froelich back there, but I don't know if she remembers this story. I had to coach, and I can see there's somebody smiling back there. Well, maybe I will. Well, maybe you can sign it. I had to fill in as a coach for our daughter's basketball team, Y League or something like that. And I used a college word. You can figure out what it is. And I turned to her because she was my assistant. She was sitting on the bench, but she was also the person that would sign to her daughter. And I said that college word, and I turned to her and said, let's see you sign that. And she did. And her daughter goes, okay, got back on track here. You've heard reference to John Wooden. I always kind of want to make this a teaching thing. I used it at a wedding one time, but John Wooden always had 2 sets of 3. Never lie. Never cheat. Mickey, never. Don't. Whine. Don't come. Don't. Good. Those are the 3 things that we talk about, and we talk about it with the basketball program. And I don't know if they remember, but a lot of times when people come back and you tell stories about how now maybe you're coaching or maybe you have kids nowadays, and you kind of think back, hey, maybe that is kind of a cool thing, or you learn that and you kind of maybe give credit to me. That those are the moments that I feel is really special. To get this going even a little bit faster, one time I was doing, we used to go to the middle school, and we'd put on a program for all the students, and they'd come there, and we'd bring the ball club, and they would go through a dunking drill, and everybody would be excited. And when we'd play a game we call it Gator, but it used to be called Gata, but we call it Gator, which just is 3-on-3 full court. No rules, no out of bounds. Whoever gets there goes. If you're not going to run, you're going to be made fun of. There'll probably be college words said in a college situation. But I was asked by a student beforehand that was kind of maybe doing a newscast for a junior high or middle school, and he asked me what was my most best moment, and I can think of, beating the Hills, beating McCook, practices. We were in the championship out at Northeastern Junior College in Sterling when we lost, and Mark Hosking, who was playing on a knee that needed surgery, said, "Coach, I can't go no more." And hey, I understand. And we almost pulled it out, and I think John, we had a guy that was playing with probably stitches still in his appendix, still playing. But one of my most favorite moments happened in Wisner, Nebraska. I got to remember this. Thanks, Junior. It was at a Subway where we were going to eat, and the people and all our players went through and they order what they're going to eat, and we try to feed them pretty healthy, but nowadays now things gotten really expensive, but we try to get what they want and everything, but they just line up and they go through, and the people at Subway, and we probably all ate at Subway, they put the sandwiches together, and when we're all through, then coaches go, because coaches always eat last. Okay, and if you're going to be a coach, I hope you remember that. If you take that away as a general thought, it'd be great. Coaches always eat last. Okay, so I'm going through, I'm the last one, and I'm also the guy that's got to pay. The girl goes, "Man, you got a nice bunch of guys." "Oh, that's nice. Why?" They all said please and thank you. And that's something that we also talk about. Please and thank you. You know, are you saying please and thank you to the people? You know, there's no job too small. You got to be able to do whatever it is, you got to be able to do it. Elin, I just saw you sit down there. Elin, stand up back there. Okay, Elin, just like the wedding, I didn't know if I wanted to have this day when you had a softball, because sometimes I'd rather be at softball than at a retirement party, but yeah. But we'll be there tomorrow. People are going to ask me who the best player is that play at our place. I don't know. I won't say. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of them, and there's so many stories I could go and tell, and hopefully we'll stay afterwards and we can tell a lot of those stories, and the stories will get bigger and bigger and bigger lies and stuff like that. And but no, we'll stay as long as necessary. The last part of what I want to say, and then maybe if there's any questions that I could answer, or we got some other things that maybe going to say, or they're just going to open it up, but just a couple things before my farewell part here. I wasn't a very good reader in high school or in elementary school, but I got better thanks to my mother and my father. I remember one time my father just jumped in my head when we come to the games, and he kind of struggled to walk, kind of like I'm starting to struggle to walk a little bit. And he said, my mom said, "Well, let's go sit up here." And he said, "No, I think I'm going to sit down here at the end of the bench. Dan might want to ask me a question or something." And I think, thanks, Dad. Thank you, and thanks, Mom, for all the kind words. And yes, we did move from Rock Valley, but I finish almost every one of my speeches. I'm from Dune. All 456 people that live there. Well, it's maybe growing a little bit. Maybe it's up to 600 now. But you know, you can run all over town, because you got, if I'm from Dune, you know, it's in there's 600 people, you take one person away from that, that's 599. You got 599 babysitters watching you, because they'll tell home and call home and tell your mom what you're doing and everything. I gotta get here, but back to the part about the reading. Is there's books on the table, and please, I have so many books. I got so many books. I'm gonna say it one more time. I got so many books. This doesn't even dent the books we have at home.
Dan, tell them how many books you read a month. I was going to mention that.
Well, I don't know.
4 to 5.
Oh yeah, probably that many. Yeah, I'm trying to do one a week now, but I got a couple books going at the same time. But I mean, I even, on Saturdays, but I haven't done it today, put out my recommendation for book reading, but I haven't done today's general thoughts yet. I haven't gotten around to that. We've been busy doing other things. But please take those books. If you don't, there's going to be more things we gotta haul home and stuff. And please take them. And yes, there might be some things written in them. I don't think I wrote any bad things in them. So, but I really want you to do that because that's important to me. The last thing I'm going to say here is, and there's so much more I want to say, but we got to get on to other things, is when I had this dream or I had this thought, when my last game came, I thought maybe this would all happen in a different way, and that when I'd retire and I would know my last game and the buzzer would sound and I'd get up and I'd search the crowd, and I usually know where Chris is sitting, because if this is the bench, I never sat in the front seat because I never thought that head coaches should sit in the first chair, okay? Some coaches like to do that. I don't need that recognition. I sit down, I want to be closer to my players. But the buzzer sounds, I usually know where Chris is sitting because it's usually straight across. And sometimes, especially this year, when we didn't make free throws, I'd look across at her and she's doing this. Didn't you? Yeah, okay. I know you did, so I saw you. But when the buzzer would sound, and this is my last game, I'd get up and I'd probably have a few tears, which I did when some of you talk, and then I'd want to point at you because that's how important you are to me. And the last thing is I've listened to all different types of genre of music, especially when you're around college-age guys. You listen to a lot of different type of stuff. But I'm kind of a country western fan, so my last little thought is, as Tim McGraw would always say, you want to answer, Mickey? Be humble, be kind. Be humble and be kind. Thanks for all coming. I appreciate it all. Please, there's refreshments across the hall, adult. Yep, I know there's more, because I'll give you back here. But please take the books, and I kind of, is that the get done to part sign? Okay, here you go, dear. Okay. Josh. Okay.
Hi, I'm Auntie Helen, sister to Barb, and I babysat this kid because Barb was 20 and I was 16. I'll just take a second, but I babysat him. And then he was a ring bearer at the age of 6, and the other nephew on the other side of the family told Dave Saunders, said, tell him hello and congratulations. He said that was the last time he was the same size as Dan Anderson. But then we watched him play ball, and we watched him coach, and I watched him be a wonderful son. And then he also worked at my husband's plant for all through high school and all through college. And he's been a blessing to the family. Thank you, Dan.
I'm going to have Josh Clark, assistant coach for many years and former player, give kind of some final remarks, and then we can stay around and talk. I'm going to leave the mic on, so if you want everybody to hear, you can tell your stories, because we'd love to hear more.
All right, well, it's good to see everybody today. Coach, I have a few things, and then Chris kind of asked me to pray, so at the end I'll give a quick prayer, and I'll leave it to you guys. Well, first, my name is Josh Clark, and I was a player for Coach Anderson many years ago. But I know some of my teammates are here, and it's good to see you guys, and it's good to see all the players here as well. Just real quick. You like that? Yeah, looks good. Looks good on us, right, Jimmy? All right. Many of us know Dan or Danny or the Cat Whisperer. He has many cats around, so if you know him, you know he likes cats. But many of you know him simply as Coach. And although many things have changed during the nearly 50 years of coaching, one thing was consistent, and that was Coach's love of his players and the game. The number of lives impacted through a game and as a teacher has left a legacy as we see as incomprehensible. If you were anywhere near Coach, you would know the kind of presence he carries with him. First, you'll hear it with his deep baritone voice, but then you see it as a definition of a gentle giant. Unless you're getting encouraged on the bench for not sprinting, for turning the ball over, for not running hard enough, or, God forbid, you miss a rebound. You don't miss a rebound. But as all of us know, his general thoughts on practice had more to do with the person than it did actual practice. As a player who worked nights and went to school during the day, I was blessed with an opportunity to learn from Coach and what it meant to be as an assistant coach. It became more of a coach and a friend and mentor. After practices, as we sat in the office and talked a little bit about basketball, a lot about softball, and even more about Westerns and books, the care and compassion that he put into the game far surmounted anything in the record books. To many, the game of basketball is played on a 90 by 50-foot court, but the hours devoted and sleepless nights was way over that. Coach Anderson's love and knowledge go much deeper than basketball. Megan, Mickey, and Molly and their families and numerous grandchildren bring out the grandpa in him. I was looking for something in the office last week, and I was going through the drawers, and stacked in between there was a sack of crayons. That's just who he was. After games, 1 second we'd be discussing how the team played. You can hear the growl in his voice. The kids would come around the corner, or Chris would come around the corner, and everything changed. He lit up. Nothing else mattered. And then there's Chris. And as you talk to Coach, you know she is the real coach of the family. She sat through countless games, basketball and softball. She's always been there, grading papers in the stands, having her students read books with the players, and Thanksgiving and Christmas dinners. She's always there with support and love. The one who's behind the scenes and sees the stress and time that it takes, and who really understands the sacrifice that he had put in. As Bear Bryant said, there ought to be a special place in heaven for Coach's wives. Chris, thank you for sharing him with us through all these years. And thank you for all you've given with the papers and everything. And as I close, Coach Anderson, I want to leave you with my general thoughts, and I only have two. The game of basketball has always been more than X's and O's, and you've taught us that. With love and passion, you have upheld your players and coaches and expected more out of us than we did ourselves. You taught us that great moments are born out of great opportunity, and how much sacrifice now will reap with so many rewards in the future. You called us to be better people, better players, better men, women, husbands, and fathers. A coach has never really done coaching, and the lessons you've instilled in so many of us here today are lessons that we are teaching to our children and their children. And finally, Coach, from the bottom of my heart, I've told you this so many times, thank you. Thank you for the 12 a.m. and 1 a.m., 1:30, 2:30 a.m. texts about the game the night before because we can't sleep. You may have retired, but you'll always be our coach. Thank you. And as I finish, if you guys would just bow your heads with me and we'll pray, and I'm just going to send Coach off real quick. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for the opportunity to gather in this room today, to celebrate a man who has given his life and his passion to so many people. Father, thank you for the impact that you have given him, that he has impacted those around him. Father, thank you for the people who are here to celebrate him. And Lord, we just pray for safe travels home and to wherever they may be. Lord, we just pray for Coach as he enters into this next stage where he can spend time and do the things he wants to do, that he will do it with love and devotion that he has always put into everything else. Lord, we just thank you so much for Coach. We thank you for his family, Chris, Megan, Molly, and Mickey, and their grandkids. Lord, we love you and we thank you. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Hi, Dan. Dan, this is a great day for you. I'm so happy for you on your retirement from Northeast Community College, your 25 years of service. And not only that, but your service to basketball and to, of course, all youth that you spent time with over this long period of time. Who would have ever thought back in 1976 when we both started out at Canton High School and Canton Middle School that we would end up where we were and what we did someday. I'm really honored to have the time to have spent with you as a person, as a teacher, as a coach. I admire you so much for not only your values that you have with your players, but also the values you have with your family. And I know that you've had a very successful career because of those values. And I know that, first of all, I could probably share a lot of stories that you and I had that probably are more personal, that we need to keep them that way. I think more than anything else, Dan, when you think about how we were able to start a program and establish a program at that time with the little gym time we had and the few number of games, it's just amazing. And I think that has to do with a lot of your credit. And I'm going to miss not coming down to Norfolk every year. I always enjoyed watching your teams play. They always played so hard, and they always played so well. And that's a credit to you. I know you'll find something to do. At least I have. I can truly say that I was someone that really liked the game of basketball and liked being with kids. But I know more than anything else, to best sum it up, you were the person that actually loved the game of basketball and loved your players that played for you. So again, I'll be thinking about you the rest of the evening. I know that you and I can get together and have a good time sometime. And you have a great family. Greet them all for me. And we'll talk to you again soon.
I'm Joe Hesse. I was a Northeast Hawk from 2005 to 2007. I never got to wear a jersey for Coach Anderson, but some would say maybe that I was the best student manager he's ever had. Right now I'm a social studies teacher at Humphrey Public, and I coach basketball too. I think what I'm maybe most grateful to Coach Anderson for is the opportunity to be a manager, get to tag along and go to practices and go to games, get to be around the team. I grew up in western Nebraska, getting to hang around with a Gio and a Jeffrey and a Lefty, some guys from the Bahamas, getting to meet Cyrus Tate from Chicago. All these people that had this different experience from me really opened my eyes to the rest of the world, how much bigger things are, and I'm very grateful for that. Coach Anderson, thanks for your time at Northeast. Thanks for letting me be a part of it, and congratulations on your retirement.
Hey, I'm Ben Moxness, and I was a Northeast Hawk in 2018 through 2020, and then went on to play at Doane University my last years of college, where I graduated in May 2022. And I am now a first-year Doctor of Physical Therapy student at the University of Nebraska Medical Center in Omaha. I just want to say congrats on your retirement, Coach Anderson. Can't really say I'm going to miss those 6-minute miles at 6 a.m. on Friday mornings, but I certainly appreciated you pushing me not only to be a better basketball player, but a better man as well. I will always cherish the memories that I made at Northeast, and I appreciate you letting me be a part of your program. So congrats on your retirement. Hope it's great. Thank you so much.
Hey, Coach, how's it going? This is Antoine Lewis, your favorite power forward from Hammond, Indiana. Congratulations on retirement. This is well deserved. You earned it. I'll just speak a little bit on my time there at Northeast. I was there from 99 to 2001. Played with some awesome players, had some great teammates that I still have relationships with today. Sir, without even talking about basketball, I just want to say thank you for being a great teacher, mentor, and role model. I also want to thank Chris, Molly, Megan, and Mickey for just sharing this man with us for these 20 plus years. Coach, I want to thank you for helping me grow as a player through the good times, the bad times, when I tore my ACL, the little lizard incident we had at your house. We ain't gonna talk about that. Helping me pursue my associate degree and later allowing me to play Division I basketball. I couldn't have done none of those things without you. Enjoy retirement, sir. You indeed deserve it. Appreciate you.
Coach, congratulations on retirement. I wish I could be there to celebrate this moment with you. But more than anything, I just want to thank you and the Northeast family for taking a chance on me. Just making this video just give me flashbacks to all the good times that we've had with the Bahama guys, Lamar, Adam, Runza, just being around those guys was just hilarious. I just think about the times we used to make us have practice on Thursday because you knew we was out at Riley's partying it up on a Wednesday. But Coach, more than anything, I just want to thank you for paving the way for me to have the opportunities I've been fortunate enough to have in my career. Without you, I don't think I'd be able to, get to Iowa or, play overseas for 10 years or even currently be at Southern Illinois working as a graduate assistant. So everything that I've had as far as success started with you. And, I thank you more than anything from the bottom of my heart. And Coach, I'm always here. I'm always available. I know you don't be calling me that much, so I think now since you retired, you have a lot more time to start calling me at least 2 times a month. That's the rules now. But enjoy your day, Coach. And tell your wife I said hello. Tell your kids to say hello. Tell the grandbabies to say hello. And I wish you all the best in your future endeavors. Take care.
Coach, sitting in here in a locker room, thought it was only right that this is where I did my video. Big game here for us coming up. I think I do exactly as you do. And I sit in the locker room by myself and everybody goes out and shoots. And I put my things on the board and I'm in a different locker room because I got people in the other one. But man, congrats on an unbelievable career. You're a one-of-a-kind man. I know you've helped so many young men along the way and impacted us so heavily and helped us do so many things and helped form us in a man and helped make us good people. And I know I'm thankful for that, and I know you have a lot of other men who are thankful for that. Me personally, I owe you so much, it's not even funny. I think we can all attest to you basically turned into my dad, and I hung out with you for I don't know how many years, but it was a long time. I remember recruiting phone calls, 99 all the way to long bus trips and lots of burgers and road trips and sunflower seeds and Mountain Dews and Pepsis, Diet Pepsis for you. From the bottom of my heart, I just want to say thank you. I wouldn't be coaching here today, this team, without you. You got a lot of special people around you tonight, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm jealous. I'm very, very jealous. If any of the guys who I've played with or coached or anything are around there with you tonight, buy Coach a beer for me, or 2. Coach, I'll definitely have a beer for you. you enjoy retirement. I'm not sure you'll be able to not watch basketball or anything, but you're always welcome here on my bench if you ever want to come down to Australia and hang out for a while. I'm sure I can set you up with a camp or two. Mrs. Anderson, hi to all the girls and all the grandkids and Caleb and everybody. You guys all take care. I miss y'all. Anyway, I gotta go coach a game. Coach, be like you. Love ya. Have a great one. Go Northeast.
Coach, it's Melky here, all the way from Germany. I just wanted to congratulate you for your retirement and thank you. Like, I can't even put it into words how much you did for me and especially all of us at our time at Northeast. So yeah, I just want to thank you again and hopefully we can catch up soon.